Welcome to the American Red Cross, Charleston, South Carolina region. You may have heard about recent funding changes taking place in the Tri-County area. We wanted to take just a moment to talk to you about what this means for your American Red Cross in our low country. In the following video, our regional CEO Louise Welch Williams will address some of the questions that may arise during this transition.
In our community, Trident United Way funding for the American Red Cross has declined to 3.5% of our total budget. Red Cross Disaster Services will no longer be funded because it doesn't align with Trident United Way's new 10-year goals. No funding for disaster services. And if we accept the greatly reduced funding grant from Trident United Way for our two smaller programs, we must abide by the Trident United Way restrictions on certain fundraising activities. Therefore, the American Red Cross Regional Board of Directors has voted to not accept any funding from Trident United Way.
How much money did the local Red Cross get last year from Trident United Way, and how does that compare with this year?
Last year, the Red Cross Charleston SC region received approximately $237,000 from the Trident United Way for support of three programs: Retired Senior Volunteer, Volunteer Services, and Disaster Services. This year, the funding was reduced to $78,000 and eliminated all support for disaster services.
Was any additional short-term funding offered to the Red Cross from the Trident United Way as transitional funding?
Yes. After negotiation and discussions, Trident United Way offered the Red Cross $118,609 to represent 9 months of transitional funding. However, in order for the Red Cross to accept this funding, the Red Cross would have to abide by fundraising restrictions imposed by the Trident United Way, which are just not practical for the Red Cross to comply with it in return for such a small amount of short-term funding.
Why did the United Way funding for the Red Cross here decline?
While we appreciate the Trident United Way's recognition that by all measurements, the performance of the Red Cross Disaster Services has been outstanding, the Red Cross Disaster Services no longer aligns with Trident United Way's new community focus.
What percentage of your revenue does United Way support represent?
The $237,509 allocation from Trident United Way last year represented about 11% of the revenue in our $2.2 million budget. That funding amount was as high as $422,000 in 1996 and has been declining steadily. The $78,000 funding for the two volunteer programs in FY13 now only represent 3.5% of our annual budget.
Why was the Red Cross hit so hard?
The United Way has been transitioning to what the Trident United Way calls a community impact funding model that addresses issues that the United Way feels are of importance to the community. This includes education, economic stability, and health. Under this model, agencies that received funding in previous years may or may not receive funding depending on the programs they offer. This change hit the Red Cross hard because our programs do not directly align with local United Way community impact issues. Therefore, the Red Cross did not receive funding for programs such as emergency preparedness and disaster services. The Red Cross provides for the immediate emergency needs such as shelter, food, clothing, assistance with lost medication, and disaster mental health for those individuals affected by disasters such as home fires. The Red Cross also serves as client advocate, connecting the client with local resources in the community to aid in their long-term recovery. The Red Cross continually trains volunteers to plan for and respond to disasters, both large and small.
How do you plan to make up this loss in revenue?
The Red Cross has been steadily strengthening our own fundraising capabilities as United Way funding has declined. Just as people here depend on the Red Cross, we in turn depend on the support of people, businesses, and organizations here in order to meet the needs of our community. Support from the community is important, and the Red Cross is asking people to support us by giving time, donating blood, or making a financial contribution. We are also working with companies to offer the Red Cross as a choice to employees in workplace giving programs. Strengthening our fundraising will help ensure the Red Cross has the financial stability necessary to continue to deliver critical services to the community.
Is the Red Cross now competing with the United Way for fundraising dollars?
No. Our fundraising efforts are not competing with United Way. While both serve critical needs in the community, the United Way locally has now decided to focus on different areas other than the mission of the Red Cross. The Red Cross helps people affected by disasters, assists military members and their families, trains people in life-saving health and safety skills, promotes and collects blood donations, and supports international relief and humanitarian law. Both organizations play important roles in the community, and both organizations need support from the community.